Welcome to today's Explainer. Today, we are unpacking a really fascinating financial strategy that is literally designed to short circuit that collective habit we all have. That 2 a.m. impulse shopping. It's a system that fundamentally rewires how we think about consumption, letting us protect our savings without having to live like a monk. If you've ever felt that slight, annoying sting of guilt after dipping into your hard-earned reserves just for a fleeting purchase, well, this approach offers a really compelling alternative. Let's get right into it. Just consider this for a second. What if you literally never had to touch your savings again just to buy something new? No way, right? We all know that incredibly powerful urge to grab the latest trending gadget or a fresh pair of sneakers, usually promising ourselves, oh, I'll just replenish my savings next month. But this rule introduces a built-in mechanism that completely preserves your wealth over time, and it does it without forcing total deprivation. It basically creates this ecosystem where your current assets fund your future desires. Section 1. The Gen Z Mindset Shift. Okay, let's dive into this. The rule itself is elegantly simple, yet incredibly effective. The sell-to-buy rule dictates that to buy something new, you must sell something you own first. That is literally it, the whole shebang. It's a strict one-in, one-out policy, but it's heavily tied to financial transactions rather than just, saving closet space. A younger demographic, Gen Z specifically, has really championed this approach. They've recognized that constant, mindless consumption is a total trap. By tying new purchases strictly to the sale of old ones, they're completely changing their relationship with material goods and, of course, their bank accounts. So let's look at the actual mechanics here. Step 1 is the trigger, right? You want a new item. Step 2 is the challenge, combing through your possessions to find something of comparable value to let go of. And step 3 is the action, actually selling it. Now, in the past, organizing a garage sale or navigating clunky online auctions was honestly just way too much work to make this a daily habit. But today, secondary market platforms like Vinted or Depop make this totally seamless. The technology removes the physical friction, leaving only the psychological friction, which, as you'll see, is exactly the point. Section 2. Evaluating wants versus needs. This brings us to the core friction I just mentioned. On one side, impulsive wants thrive on those zero-effort, one-click checkouts. We've all been there. But on the other hand, true needs require forced evaluation. When you actually apply the sell-to-buy rule, you're forcing an impulsive want through a really rigorous filter. Suddenly, that cool new jacket isn't just costing you cash, it's costing you the time and effort to list an item. And it's forcing you to sacrifice, say, your favorite vintage boots to get it. That mandatory pause, it's absolutely crucial. It is the exact space where long-term financial discipline is built. I love this quote from the source material because it really hits the nail on the head. It stops impulse buys dead in their tracks because you have to physically let go of another possession. The psychological weight here relies heavily on loss aversion. Humans naturally feel the pain of losing something much more acutely than the joy of gaining something of equal value. By tying a new purchase directly to a loss, that pain acts as a massive barrier. Think about it. If you aren't willing to part with an old item, you clearly don't want the new one that badly. Just like that, your impulse buy is stopped entirely. Let's move to Section 3, the 5-year savings projection, and see how this builds. Just imagine your financial timeline over the next half-decade. In year 1, you adopt the rule. Sure, it feels a bit restrictive at first, but you quickly get used to utilizing that secondary market. By year 3, your core savings part remains entirely untouched. Because you're exclusively funding your lifestyle upgrades by liquidating older assets, you simply aren't draining your wealth. And then, by year 5, the math takes over. Those undisturbed savings didn't just sit there. They compounded. Your money literally made money purely because you stepped out of that constant, endless spending cycle. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is when we compare this side by side with the traditional lifestyle, the exponential power of compounding becomes incredibly obvious. On one side, we have our disciplined individual with an untouched, aggressively compounding savings pot. On the other side is a hypothetical friend who just continued funding impulsive wants directly from their salary, dipping into savings whenever their urge struck. The difference after 5 years isn't just linear, it's massive. The friend has a wardrobe full of depreciating assets, while the disciplined earner has a deep financial safety net and a seriously growing net worth. So, we've seen the mechanics, the psychological hurdle of loss aversion, and the undeniable mathematical advantage of leaving your savings alone to compound. It is a fundamental shift in how we value what we own versus what we want. So it all comes down to one really provocative question for you. What are you willing to physically let go of today so compound interest can work for you tomorrow?